What would you do? If the whole world turned its back on you in your darkest moment, if the law, the system, and even the people meant to protect you chose cruelty over compassion. Stay with me, because this story doesn't just break your heart, it rebuilds it. And before we begin, like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel Kindness Warriors because this channel needs your support to spread kindness around the world. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell us honestly. Do you believe kindness still matters today? The courtroom felt colder than winter steel. Not because of the air, but because of the silence, thick, suffocating, and heavy with judgment. The sharp crack of the judge's gavel echoed like a final warning, bouncing off the polished wood and marble walls. At the defense table sat an elderly woman, her fragile frame almost disappearing into the oversized chair. Her name was Martha Elwood. Her hands trembled as she clutched a worn-out handbag, faded leather, cracked at the edges, the kind of bag that had lived through years of memories. It wasn't just a purse. It was everything she had left. Her eyes were red, not from weakness, but from fighting too long without anyone fighting beside her. "Mrs. Elwood," the judge said, his voice dripping with impatience, "you're asking this court for mercy. But mercy doesn't pay debts." A few quiet laughs slipped through the courtroom. Martha lowered her head. Each chuckle felt like a stone thrown at her dignity. This wasn't just about money. It never was. It was about her home. A small house on a quiet street. Built brick by her late husband, Harold, a mechanic with grease-stained hands and a heart too big for this world. That house still carried his laughter in the walls, his footsteps in the hallway, his love in every corner. But to the bank? It was just land. Valuable land. The kind corporations fight over. The opposing lawyer stood confidently, adjusting his expensive suit, his voice sharp as a blade. "Your Honor, the facts are simple. Mrs. Elwood defaulted on her mortgage. The property must be seized." He didn't look at her. Not once. To him, she wasn't a person. She did paperwork. Martha's public defender shifted uncomfortably, flipping pages without speaking. Fear had silenced him long before the trial began. And then it happened. As Martha tried to steady herself, the lawyer leaned closer to the table, his voice low but cruel enough for everyone nearby to hear. "Maybe if you had planned better, you wouldn't be begging now." The words hit harder than any slap. But what came next was worse. As Martha slowly stood trying to speak, trying to hold on to the last piece of her dignity, the bailiff stepped forward, impatient. "Sit down, ma'am. You've said enough." When she hesitated, overwhelmed and shaking, he pushed her shoulder, not violently, but enough to make her stumble back into her chair. The room didn't react. No one stood up. No one spoke. And in that moment, Martha realized something painful. She wasn't invisible. She was simply unimportant to them. Her story, like so many others, had already been decided before she even walked in. 3 years earlier, Harold had collapsed in their kitchen. A sudden heart attack. No warning. No goodbye. Hospital bills followed. Then funeral costs. Then silence. The kind of silence that empties your home and your soul. She tried everything. Selling what she could. Skipping meals. Writing letters. Asking for time. But time is something the world rarely gives to the broken. And now, it was over. The judge leaned forward, lifting his gavel once more. "This court rules in favor of." The doors slammed open. The sound echoed like thunder. Every head turned. 3 men stood at the entrance. Leather vests. Heavy boots. Faces marked by life, not comfort. They didn't belong there. But somehow, they belonged more than anyone else in that room. The first man stepped forward. Broad shoulders, calm eyes, a salt and pepper beard. His presence alone shifted the air. His name was Ronan. 3 days earlier, he had found Martha's purse outside a roadside diner. She hadn't even realized she dropped it. He ran after her. Not for reward. Not for recognition. Just because it was the right thing to do. When he handed it back, he noticed her hands shaking. He noticed the sadness she tried to hide. And when he gently asked if she was okay, she told him everything. Not because she expected help, but because no one else had listened. "I'm all alone," she had whispered. Ronan looked her in the eyes and said something she didn't believe at the time. "You're not alone anymore, ma'am." Now, standing in that courtroom, he proved it. The bailiff moved forward again, tense. "You can't just walk in here." Ronan raised his hand calmly. "We're not here for trouble." His voice wasn't loud, but it carried weight. The kind that demands attention. He walked straight to Martha. She looked up at him, her eyes wide, tears forming again, but this time, not from pain. From disbelief. Ronan placed an envelope gently on the table. "A certified check," he said, looking directly at the judge. "It covers everything. Debt. Interest. Fees. Every last rupee." The courtroom froze. Silence. Real silence this time. The kind that forces people to think. The judge blinked, caught off guard. If this is verified, then the case is dismissed." Martha gasped. Her hands covered her mouth as tears streamed freely down her face. Not quiet tears. Not hidden tears. But the kind that comes when your world, just for a moment, feels safe again. Ronan helped her stand, gently, respectfully. "Told you," he said softly. "You're not alone." She grabbed his hand, holding on like it was the only real thing left in the world. "Why?" she whispered. Ronan smiled faintly. "Because someone should have helped you sooner." Behind him, the other bikers stood quietly, not seeking praise, not waiting for recognition. They had done their part. That was enough. As they turned to leave, something unexpected happened. The courtroom, once cold, mocking, indifferent, began to clap. Softly at first. Then louder. Even the judge lowered his gaze, humbled by something he couldn't control. Martha stood there, holding her old handbag, no longer just a symbol of loss, but of survival. Of hope. That evening, she sat on her porch as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in warm gold and orange. For the first time in years, she smiled. The distant rumble of motorcycles faded into the night. But their kindness stayed. And somewhere deep in her heart, she felt it. Harold's presence. Proud. At peace. And as the wind passed gently through her hair, she whispered a quiet prayer, not for herself, but for the strangers who chose compassion when the world chose indifference. Because sometimes, angels don't have wings. Sometimes, they ride motorcycles. And before you go, like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel Kindness Warriors, because this channel needs your support to spread kindness around the world. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell us, do you believe kindness still matters today?